Language is the soul of a nation. To speak in any language means to pass centuries of knowledge from one generation to another. It is also a core part of our identity. Nowadays, approximately 6,000 languages are spoken around the world. Yet, it is expected that 50% of them will disappear by the end of the 21st century. Gaelic is one of Scotland's native languages. But only 1% of Scottish population speaks Gaelic. The eclipse of the language started long before the appearance of media technologies or internet. Now, adapting to the fast-changing media environment may be its only hope for survival.
Through time, Gaelic lost status. Certainly by the 16th century, Gaelic had become to be regarded as the language of the non-educated or the poor people. Although Gaelic still was continued to be used by the nobility in the Highlands and Gaelic Scotland, Gaelic was increasingly by the 16th century, from the 16th century onwards, regarded as something that was associated with the Highlands and Islands, or the north and west of the country, with poverty and with backwardness.
Today, the Scottish government pays a lot of attention to language policies, but many young people still don't see Gaelic as a culturally significant element of today's nation. For many of them, English has become a native mother tongue.
You know, I'd rather personally learn like Spanish or French or something because I think it's more useful the whole world, because I think it's kind of maybe outdated if you say like no one really speaks it anymore, so what's the point?
This process, which was already underway, really gathered a pace. And the Scots Privy Council, the executive government of the day in Scotland, had, for example, some ordinances which states that Gaelic should be rooted out as a long-term aim through education. Gaelic was to be educated out of people.
Now it's one of Scotland's priorities to revive Gaelic through education. It is increasingly popular among parents. In fact, in 30 years, the number of pupils has risen from 24 to 3,500. Some people believe that the best time to learn the language is when you're young and fresh. Here at Glasgow Gaelic School, children have an opportunity to receive primary and secondary education in Gaelic, the language that is native to Scotland. All pupils of Glasgow Gaelic School know English, but here it is taught as a second language, and many children can't write or read in it until they're 7 or 8 years old.
They teach us in Gaelic. We only have one class every week that's like half an hour long that we get to speak it. It's an English class.
The fact that children studying Gaelic makes the language equal to English, but it's not always easy, and to support the learning, the school encourages children to watch Gaelic programs.
I would watch Gaelic programs because it would improve your language and because it's got much higher level Gaelic than you probably already have.
Most importantly, children discover new career opportunities within Gaelic media landscape.
And I think it's really raised the profile of Gaelic and made people aware that you can be taught through it, because I think for a long time people thought that it was very much a highland, you know, a pocket of Scotland spoke it, and it wasn't really for the rest. Whereas now Glasgow, or the central belt of Scotland, probably has most of the Gaelic speakers in the primary school.
But is education enough to make sure that the language survives? BBC Alaba is here to guarantee that there is an adequate provision of Gaelic language in Scotland. It first came on air in 2008, and since then the number of viewers and programs have been increasing steadily.
We would like to have more programs for young people. We'd like to have more programs for little children, more originations rather than buying cartoons to voice over. We feel it's very, very important that children in particular have live action programs in their own language.
BBC Alaba works on multiple projects for children and adults. Gaelic language is at the heart of the channel, and it's important for the service to spread the word about this ancient language using the tools that are popular among young speakers.
There's quite a lot of programs to get through, and they each cover different eras and different times in history. So it's quite a fun way of explaining a bit about various civilizations and countries and things like that.
If you wanted a career in the media, there weren't many opportunities. Since BBC Alba came along, if you wanted to be a sports commentator, there is opportunity, there's a career path for you. If you wanted to be a news journalist on television, again, there's a career path for you. If you wanted to be a weather presenter, there are huge opportunities in drama, in news, in sport, in entertainment. So across the board there are opportunities for young Gaelic speakers to become involved.
But all of these things cost money. And the biggest challenge for BBC Alba is budget and how to stretch it to cover these editorial ambitions. Highlands. The heart of Gaelic language. Here on the Isle of Skye lives a big Gaelic-speaking community. However, when I traveled to Portree, I couldn't find anyone who speaks Gaelic.
For your heritage and your culture, yeah, I suppose it is important. They teach it in every school around here as well, so it's a very important thing to the community and the area.
But for you
keeping
personally?
it, like, for me, because I don't speak it personally, not really, no.
A British-American television drama, Outlander, significantly raised the profile of Gaelic language. The Outlander series includes many Gaelic words and phrases, which definitely caught fans' interest.
I suppose I looked at it as a big shot at the mainstream, but without having to change the language, because it's spoken by Highlanders in kilts in old croft houses, as it would have been at that time. So I can get it right into Hollywood and not have to change a hair on its head.
So, if you're not into learning the language yet, perhaps Outlander can change your mind.
Sassenach. An English person. An outsider. Say it with me. Sassenach.
Gaelic is trending around the world. But in Scotland, young people believe it to be impractical. Glasgow University remains a stronghold of Gaelic language for all those who are keen to pursue it as a future career. Fiona Dunn is the first ever Gaelic language officer in the University of Glasgow. As a part of her job, she's trying to transform the way Gaelic-speaking students are engaged with the language.
I think we've got to be aware of the fact that a lot of our young people are not necessarily comfortable in using the language socially with their peer groups and things, and we can't, just because social media, for example, is growing, I don't think we can then expect that they will automatically go and do that in Gaelic.
Scottish universities do a lot to popularise language on campus, but do you really have to be in the university to be able to learn and speak Gaelic? Kirsty is a mother of 4 and a Gaelic language learner. She wasn't taught Gaelic when she was a child, but she and her husband are working hard to make sure that this part of their ethnic identity is preserved in the family.
I used to sing in a choir, but I didn't really learn the language. It was then when I started going to a preschool group, I started to pick up some of the language through song, and I started learning in earnest when my eldest went to Scholarich, and I started to go to classes whilst he was in nursery. So that was, yeah, so I thought I want to be able to support the children, and if they give me any cheek in Gaelic, I want to understand what they're saying.
All of Kirsty's children are receiving Gaelic medium education, but it doesn't mean that they are not fluent in English. In fact, research shows that there are many advantages in being bilingual. Kirsty's daughter, Iona, believes that Gaelic is an essential attribute of Scottish inhabitant and that it may help her and her siblings to get a better job in the future.
If they just know English, they only know one language. But if you know Gaelic, you'll know 2 and you'll get better at it. And you can go to... Because I heard about an island, they speak fully Gaelic. Because So you could go there and speak Gaelic to the people.
Fortunately, in the 21st century, Gaelic learners are lucky enough to find all the materials to master the language online. This way, people have a chance to explore and understand indigenous languages through technologies.
If you're interested in learning Gaelic, we do have a dedicated website, learngaelic.scot. On that website, the thing I would most urge people to do is get to a physical class. The more Gaelic you can speak, the more Gaelic that you can learn, listening to somebody, talking to somebody, discussing somebody, learning somebody in a physical classroom. That's the best way to learn Gaelic. We've got a course finder on learngaelic.scot, and we've got all the classes in Scotland that we can find listed in the website. We've got them via map view, via list view, whatever you want. There's filters so you can find something that suits you, whether you're a parent, whether you can commit to a class full time, whether you can go to an evening class. We've got all that.
We live in a world full of opportunities, yet to use them wisely takes lots of knowledge and experience. Gaelic is an ancient and beautiful language that is now on the verge of extinction or revival. The choice lies in the hands of those who belong to the land of the brave. Is there anything else you want to say?
Brilliant Gaelic!
Equals speak Gaelic.